Pardon the interruption, but I'm Pablo Torre. Wilbon has the day off today, so I am honored that you asked me to co-host, Tony.
Tony Kornheiser, you think this was my idea? Really? What?
I mean,
really?
I like to think that you have some influence over this program after almost 20 years exactly in September, but is that not the case?
I'm happy when you're on the show. But, you know, I got 2 or 3 guys I'd rather have. They just don't work here anymore. What can I tell you? Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. With Wilbon off today, I'm pleased to be joined by our great friend from the ESPN Daily podcast, my grandson, Pablo Torre.
Okay, that was something.
A little late with those cheers. And we begin today with a pre-draft bombshell from Adam Schefter of ESPN that Aaron Rodgers is so disgruntled that he has told some people within the Packers organization that he does not want to return to the team. The Packers top brass is concerned enough to have made multiple trips to visit Rodgers this offseason, but he reportedly still wants out. The Packers maintain they aren't interested in trading him. Pablo, how do you see this playing out?
I see this playing out bitterly, Tony, protractedly, kind of like a land war in Asia, like one of these things that we're just going to be sitting with for a very long time, leading to regret by many people involved. And this is not shocking, Tony. That's my first reaction to it, right? It's not shocking. We've heard dribs and drabs of this. Aaron Rodgers passive-aggressively making fun of his own coaching staff while filling in on Jeopardy, the job he wants to do full-time, it seems, or at the very least simultaneous with his football career as the full-time host. And now we have all these rumors, right? Like the floodgates have opened. Mike Florio is saying, wait a minute, he wants to go to the West Coast. Maybe it's the Raiders. Maybe it's the Broncos. Trey Wingo is adding his 2 cents into the equation. Like, all of these people have theories now. I can't keep track with all of them. All I know is that Aaron Rodgers, it seems, is very seriously somebody who expects to be out of there. And I don't know how this resolves because he doesn't have any of the power to get out of there, actually.
Okay, I'll address all of those things in a second, but I want to go back to your notion that it is a protracted land war. So you don't think that there's any possibility that tonight, in the first round of the draft, that something could be set in motion and there could be this explosion and Aaron Rodgers is somewhere else by tomorrow morning? You don't think that?
I would love Rodgers for Russell Wilson to happen tonight. I think the Packers front office, they're not trying to do that. No, I don't.
Okay, so now I will deal with this. And permit me to gloat for a little while, because I believe I had this months ago, in which I said repeatedly on this show, much to the delight and laughter of Michael Wilbon, that the combination of Aaron Rodgers being insulted when the Packers drafted Jordan Love and then having the ball taken out of his hands in a playoff game had hardened his heart towards the coaching staff and towards the team. And he would attempt to get out. And everybody shouted me down. And as you see, he's not out. So I could still be wrong on this. But it also strikes me that Aaron Rodgers, the reigning MVP of the league, is one of the very, very, very few people in the NFL with NBA power, with James Harden power, with LeBron James power, that he could say to them, you know what, I'm not playing for you anymore. It's as simple as that. I'll go host Jeopardy. I'm not playing for you anymore. I'm not saying this will happen. I think it will happen, and I could be proven wrong. But Aaron Rodgers understands stardom. Aaron Rodgers understands who he is. As Kevin Durant likes to say, you all know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. You all know who Aaron Rodgers is.
I also feel like Aaron Rodgers probably looked around and realized, I am not going to be playing this game for much longer. What did Tom Brady get, Tony? He got a situation that was handpicked.
Right. Got out.
That'll be very different, but he got out. And the question now, if you're Aaron Rodgers, is, to your point, how much of a stink can you make such that they actually want you out? This is what Deshaun Watson tried. Let's keep in mind, right, Tony? And then circumstances, for very obvious reasons, changed with Watson. He never got that experiment. But what Aaron Rodgers can do, the fact that we're learning all of this on the afternoon of the draft, it tells me that he doesn't think it's going to happen. And this might be his last best shot at getting out tonight.
Let's move now. You mentioned the draft. Let's move now to tonight's first round of the NFL draft. And yes, we are all on the clock. Pablo, I'm going to cut to the chase. What is the thing you're most intrigued about in tonight's first round? And maybe it is Aaron Rodgers, maybe it's something else.
So I don't think it's going to be Rodgers, so let's leave that aside for now. But to me, it does involve the third pick overall that the 49ers traded up for, Tony, because previous to Rodgers, we have been getting hit by smoke bombs. I don't know who they're from. I don't know what direction they're coming from. All I know is that there was a lot of momentum that was very clear for weeks and months almost, that they were going to take Mac Jones, and then seemingly in the last 24, 48 hours, it became, wait a minute, Trey Lance. And so I have no idea truly what the Niners are going to do, but that will shape everything else we see tonight.
Yeah. So, yeah, we all want to see what happens with the number 3 pick, now probably more than ever, because it could be so convoluted. It could run around in like a spiral staircase with it. I have to be honest with you. I love watching the draft. I think it is a great television show. But without the quarterbacks or the running backs or the wide receivers, I don't know who any of them are. If you lined up the 10 best DBs in the country and had them wear a name tag and paraded them in front of me, I wouldn't know who they are. And any team that has a need to get a defensive back in the first round, they're probably pretty good anyway. So I want to see what happens with 3. I want to see, and I may have to wait 2 years down the road to see if Kyle Shanahan really knows what he's doing. And I want to see one other thing. I want to see if Bill Belichick lands a quarterback or if he stays with Cam Newton. Because to me, if Bill Belichick can climb back up the ladder after Brady, that is a great story, and I want to see that.
That's a great story, Tony. Here's my skepticism about it, though, is that we have heard that Belichick is intrigued by trading up into the top 10, maybe for Justin Fields. And my reaction to that would be the fact that we're hearing about this suggests that Belichick is not leaking it, because Bill Belichick has no time for any of the nonsense and the smokescreen. So it tells me that maybe not as likely, even though I certainly hope for all of the chaos of Bill Belichick trading up in the draft for a quarterback for the first time.
There's 2 other things I want to see. Devontae Smith, he won the Heisman Trophy. I want to see if he's even the first wide receiver picked, or if Jamar Chase of LSU is the first wide receiver picked. And let me go back to the undercurrent of all of this. I want to see what the Packers do. I want to see if the Packers draft somebody to help Aaron Rodgers on offense or humiliate him one more time. I want to see that.
Yeah, maybe they'll finally draft a wide receiver for him. But I want to move to baseball now, Tony, because the Mets have once again failed Jacob deGrom. deGrom gave up just 1 earned run over 6 innings, but lost 1-0 to the Boston Red Sox. That brings the total number of earned runs deGrom has surrendered over his 5 starts this season to just 2, exactly 2, yet he is just 2-2. So after the game, deGrom said this, quote, "Kind of displeased with my mechanics, just wasn't able to make pitches when I needed to," end quote. So, Tony, are you buying that any of this is deGrom's fault?
Okay, so I watched deGrom. I watched the whole game last week when he pitched against the Washington Nationals, and he was brilliant. He went 9 innings. He gave up 2 hits. He struck out 15 batters, and I marveled at him. I mean, and he got run support that day. He got 6-0, so it was an easy route for him to go. It reminds me of Max Scherzer with the Nationals. They are common in the sense that they are both multiple Cy Young winners, and common in the sense that their teams do not give them much run support. And I've thought about this, and it occurs to me maybe the guys on the team get complacent in those games because they know they got deGrom and they got Scherzer, and they're not going to give up a lot of runs. So if the question is, are these teams killing these pitchers? No, because the pitchers have multiple Cy Youngs. But yes, because it's so hard for them to win when their statistics tell you they should be like 22-5 over the course of a season.
It would be so fun if I could just go full Wilbon on you, Tony, here and talk about how the entire job a pitcher has is to win games for his team, and the statistics underneath do not really matter. But the statistics that deGrom is giving us are insane. I mean, Scherzer, there is commonality for the reasons you say, but what deGrom is doing on a historical basis, right? There is a statistic, and this is very anti-Wilbonian, but there's a statistic that is ERA+. It normalizes for the league average, it normalizes for ballpark, such that you can compare across time. Basically, the #1 all-time record for ERA+ right now, the best, was like 200-something in the 1880s, okay? What deGrom is doing right now, he is at 744, right? 2.5 times better than the best season by a pitcher we've ever seen.
Yeah.
deGrom throwing 100 miles an hour on average with his fastball and 92 with his changeup. He is a specimen that is breaking the game of baseball, even as all these other pitchers are trying to do the same thing.
And they don't get any runs for him. I'll give you one thing here. By the way, this is the way he wins the Cy Youngs. He wins the Cy Youngs. The first one he was 10-9. The second one he was 11-8. The Mets are 38-43 in his 81 starts since 2018, and he's got an ERA of under 2.
Yes.
Stay with baseball. Last night in the sixth inning of a 3-3 game, St. Louis sent left-hander Genesis Cabrera to the mound. On his very first pitch, Cabrera hit Bryce Harper in the face with a 97-mile-an-hour pitch. On his next pitch, Cabrera hit Didi Gregorius in the ribs with a 94.5-mile-an-hour pitch. Phillies manager Joe Girardi went nuts. He wanted Cabrera tossed, though nobody thought the pitches were intentional. Cardinals manager Mike Shildt said he would have taken Cabrera out, but baseball's new rule mandates that a pitcher face at least 3 batters. So, Pablo, should the rule be changed?
Well, first off, Joe Girardi, I believe, had his face broken by a pitch, so there is authority from experience. I understand where he's coming from. The rule, Tony, I'm curious what you think about this, because I have seen this rule do very little for the game of baseball, right? Pace of play was supposedly the upside of having to keep a pitcher in. No more, one batter for one pitcher, no more loogie guys, no more of that stuff. But in my experience, the game hasn't really been impacted by this rule change. What it does is provide very interesting test cases that make everybody regret that they made the rule in the first place, like this one.
Yeah, I generally like the rule. I like the rule because it cuts down on the parade of relievers in a given inning. I like the rule because it eliminates the loogie and forces a pitcher to be more complete. I would not want to amend it to say if the guy hits the first 2 batters that he faces, he's automatically out, because what if he hits him in the shoe? What if he hits him in the shoe? I asked earlier in the day, how rare is this? It is rare. It is not impossibly rare. It's rare. Twice this year so far, first 2 pitches, hit a batter. The compromise, and by the way, I understand why Girardi went nuts, and shout out John Boy because he had this whole thing. And Girardi, the pitcher is unsafe on the mound. Yes. But I think a reasonable compromise would be if the umpires polled both managers. And if the manager said, get him out of here, then you get him out of here. Right? In this case, I think that would have happened.
The manager in this case was saying after the game, I wish I could take him out, which must not make the pitcher feel very good. But the question then, Tony, if you work in like a wrinkle, right, and you're like, okay, wait a minute, maybe if you hit a guy twice in a row, you can eliminate the rule. Well, what if you do it on purpose, right? The problem with baseball right now is the league office has to keep up with the conniving strategy of front offices that are getting smarter. And I just wonder if there's any good way to do this outside of what you say, which is let's just use common sense. Let's just have that be the ruler at the end of the day.
If you do it on purpose, 2 of your hitters are going out in the ribs. Let's take a break. Coming up, does Zion Williamson really need to play a few more seasons before he earns this call?
And the Suns beat the Clippers, but did the Jazz post the more impressive win? Toss-up is next.
By the way, the third bat. Time for toss-up. 2 men enter, but only one is rocking a headrest. What's first?
Toss-up. Who should have gotten this call? Nikola Jokic or Zion Williamson?
So let me set the scene on this. It's a 2-point game, right? Brandon Ingram makes a great pass to Zion Williamson, who's got daylight to the rim, and Jokic comes from behind and blocks it, ending the game that would have gone into overtime. The NBA today came out and said it was a foul. Did he get him on the hand? Maybe he did. But he got so much ball, Pablo, so much ball that I would have called it a block.
So much ball, but so much human flesh. I mean, to me, what bothered me after the game was that Zion Williamson is still, Tony, too polite to complain about this stuff. I would have been so angry. I would have been trying to work the refs. But no, he actually sounded like he agreed with you. Like maybe it could have gone either way. No, man. He hit you right on the arm, on the arms. Please act like you're mad for the first time.
He doesn't have to complain. Stan Van Gundy complains for him. What's next?
Toss-up, more impressive win last night. The Jazz or the Suns?
So Utah put 154 on Sacramento. Sacramento stinks. They give up 119 every game. 154 doesn't seem egregious. And Phoenix beat the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. I don't care about these 2 games. What I care about is that Utah is playing Phoenix tomorrow night with first place on the line. I don't want to waste my oxygen on the Sacramento Kings. That's the game we should be talking about. The meat, not the appetizer.
Doesn't it feel to you, Tony, like the Suns and the Jazz are kind of playing a different sport than the Clippers, though? And I don't say that because, wow, the Jazz and the Suns are really good. I just mean they clearly care about the regular season in ways that Kawhi Leonard does not. Because the Clippers have played 34 games missing Kawhi and Paul George. They're only 2 back. They seem to be just waiting for the playoffs, and meanwhile we can award the Suns and the Jazz things that ultimately we won't care about come July.
I think it's very nice that Kawhi Leonard occasionally plays. I do. That's it. Let's take one last break. But still to come, could Urban Meyer and the Jaguars sign Tim Tebow as a tight end?
And Mike Tyson, Tony, tells TMZ he is ready to get back into the ring.
I admired Tebow when he tried to play baseball. I did. Time for toss-up. 2 men enter, but only one is rocking a headrest. What's first?
Toss up. Who should have gotten this call? Nikola Jokic or Zion Williamson?
So let me set the scene on this. It's a 2-point game, right? Brandon Ingram makes a great pass to Zion Williamson, who's got daylight to the rim, and Jokic comes from behind and blocks it, ending the game that would have gone into overtime. The NBA today came out and said it was a foul. Did he get him on the hand? Maybe he did. But he got so much ball, Pablo, so much ball that I would have called it a block.
So much ball, but so much human flesh. I mean, to me, what bothered me after the game was that Zion Williamson is still, Tony, too polite to complain about this stuff. I would have been so angry. I would have been trying to work the refs. But no, he actually sounded like he agreed with you. Like maybe it could have gone either way. No, man. He hit you right on the arm, on the arms. Please act like you're mad for the first time.
He doesn't have to complain. Stan Van Gundy complains for him. What's next?
Toss up. More impressive win last night. The Jazz or the Suns?
So Utah put 154 on Sacramento. Sacramento stinks. They give up 119 every game. 154 doesn't seem egregious. And Phoenix beat the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. I don't care about these 2 games. What I care about is that Utah is playing Phoenix tomorrow night with first place on the line. I don't want to waste my oxygen on the Sacramento Kings. That's the game we should be talking about. The meat, not the appetizer.
Doesn't it feel to you, Tony, like the Suns and the Jazz are kind of playing a different sport than the Clippers, though? And I don't say that because, wow, the Jazz and the Suns are really good. I just mean they clearly care about the regular season in ways that Kawhi Leonard does not. Because the Clippers have played 34 games missing Kawhi and Paul George. They're only 2 back. They seem to be just waiting for the playoffs, and meanwhile we can award the Suns and the Jazz things that ultimately we won't care about come July.
I think it's very nice that Kawhi Leonard occasionally plays. I do. That's it. Let's take one last break. But still to come, could Urban Meyer and the Jaguars sign Tim Tebow as a tight end?
And Mike Tyson, Tony, tells TMZ he is ready to get back into the ring.
I admired Tebow when he tried to play baseball. I did. And if